Where am I starting from? I hope everyone can hear me.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a moment. Trying to sort out a few things here. All right. Thank you for being here. Today, just like Faustina said, is probably going to be the last section of what you've been talking about, except there is a person needs to do another one. But once you have the recording, those who aren't able to attend in person are able to go then and watch what you've been doing. So it shouldn't be a big problem if somebody isn't able to come today. So today, I'm just going to focus on the last sections of the essay, which will be about how to write your personal statement. And there was another thing I didn't talk about in last week's meeting, which has to do with why you've chosen to study in the UK, why you've chosen to study at the particular university you've chosen to go, and then why that particular course. So why the UK and not Canada? And why the UK and not US? Or why the UK and not your home country? That should be the question. And then the next question will be why this program? So why Masters in Health Policy and not Masters in Geography or Masters in Public Health or Masters in Clinical Research, but particularly Health Policy? Why Cambridge and not Newcastle? Why Newcastle and not Leeds? Why Leeds and not Oxford? Yes. So these are questions that you should ask yourself if you're answering that. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
No.
Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So taking off from where we ended last time, over the last two sections, we were talking about writing impact statement, and then we moved on to other parts of the essay that had to do with your career plans after the program and your long-term plans. And following on from that, the next question asks you to provide a detailed plan of study. In there, they break it into three. So the questions in this big question is, why do you want to study in the UK? Why do you want to study this particular course? And why this university? Yes. So it should be answered basically in 3 paragraphs because it's 300 words. Yes, it's 300 words. So what it means is that basically you're answering or you're writing 100 words per paragraph. So why do you want to study in the UK? Handovers, tell us why you want to study in the UK. Handovers, tell us why you want to study at Oxford, why you want to study at Brunel, why you want to study at St. Mary's, why Glasgow, why Leeds. Handovers. In Handovers, tell us why you want to study Masters in Geography, why you want to study Masters in um, clinical research, why do you want to study a PhD in, say, public health sciences. Yes. So that is how it's going to be. And it must be written carefully. So in the past, I've seen people focus solely, especially when it comes to why this university, and they tend to base on ranking. So if you're at, say, Cambridge, and you want to base on ranking, Cambridge perhaps is not the number one on QS ranking. So if you're looking at QS ranking, they probably will be 3 or say 5. So if you say you want to base on ranking, then the question will be that why did you not go for the one who ranked first? Or if you want to go for Oxford, in other rankings, Oxford might come first, but others, it might go, say, some might even rank Oxford to fifth or third or something. Yes, ranking might be important, but if you want to base solely on that, then the questions will keep coming. Well, that is fine, but why didn't you go for the one that ranks first? So there is more to answering this question than basically basing your responses on ranking. Likewise, the courses. Yeah. So this was a template I developed for why I want to study in the UK. And I think it should be handovers, I guess. So I started my first sentence basically focusing on what I want to do. So if you followed our discussion over the last 2 sections, you would see that my essay is based on hunger and food insecurity, and aiming to target food insecurity or food security policies after my training. Yes. So just within the first sentence, I am communicating the same idea. Yeah. So studying the UK, I know would immerse me in a unique, vibrant policy environment. So the UK has got several institutions working across what I intend to do, and that is food policy or food security policy, whatever. And so working or studying in the UK would immerse me in such environment where government departments, different research institutes, and global think tanks meet around food security challenges. So periodically, you hear about conferences focusing on some of these areas, emerging areas, food security, food insecurity, hunger, and related united universal development goals. Yes. So first sentence, I'm just based on what I want to do there. And if I study in the UK, I also hope to benefit from these specialized facilities from GIS and remote sensing labs. So specifically, I would have indicated what is in the university. So if I'm going to Oxford, I would search for facilities that are more specific to food security, food policy, agriculture, something related to what I'm going to do there. And then the chance also to engage directly with food and agriculture organization regional offices and high-level conferences where we talk about these issues. Yeah. And the reason is that if I have the opportunity to study in this environment and participate in these high-level policy discussions, I would be exposed to diverse methodological approaches, real-world policy debates, and that will sharpen my analytical skills, also expand my professional network across academia in government. So once in a while, you hear that, oh, United Nations Department, say Food and Agriculture Organization, is holding a conference or yearly meeting in, say, Scotland, Glasgow, um, or London, or wherever. Yes. So in there are people from governments, people from academia meeting to discuss emerging issues in the field. So if you are studying in the UK and these opportunities come up, then you would want to take the advantage to be there, to listen to people, to network with people who inform policy, both across government sectors and also in academia. And that can accelerate your capacity to turn evidence into impact. Remember, I've spoken extensively about the need to network with people, the need to engage different and broader stakeholders in achieving what you want to achieve. Yes. So that is why I want to study in the UK. And these are things that are not so common to find in my home country. I would have added that. And that is a fact. So you don't often get to hear that. They are holding such high level conferences in, say, Ghana or elsewhere. Yeah, they do some conferences, but it doesn't happen often that all global leaders are meeting there, all top academic researchers are meeting there, and that. And so you want to be in an environment where you would have the opportunity of meeting the people who make changes from the top there down the stream to your country level. Yeah, and that's why I want to be in the UK. And it's an opportunity that you would hardly find if you decide to stay in your home country. Yeah. So it answers the question why the UK. Now, the question about why this university. So I presume that I was going to Leeds. I've always loved Leeds, but it could be something, or it could be a different university. It could be like Oxford, it could be Cambridge, it could be Glasgow, whatever. Yeah. So Leeds stands out. Perhaps it's not the QS ranking, it's not the one coming first, but it stands out as an ideal place to build on the foundation I've spoken about up there. And 8 core models, such as, so I'll list core models. They weave together governance theory, sustainable livelihood frameworks, and rigorous quantitative methods. And the topics in nutrition and agroecology would also deepen students' interdisciplinary reach. So you get the opportunity, even though you're doing or you're studying something on food security policy, but you have the opportunity to interact with people from different disciplines. So while I was studying here in Newcastle, I was doing something in public health, and I had lectures from the environmental science and agricultural department coming in to lecture, professors from law department coming in to, yes. So you get that broader um, interdisciplinary experience, which isn't so common across different universities. So that makes Leeds stands out. Perhaps if I had based my argument on ranking, Leeds is not top. It's not the QS ranking or the THE ranking. It's not the one, the first or the second, but it has its own special areas where they stand high or they stand out. And that is where I want to base my argument. Yes. So if I had brought in and say, oh, Leeds ranks a 14th in the UK, then somebody asked me, why didn't you choose Oxford? Because it ranks 1 in QS ranking. And that defies the argument I'm putting forward. And so I'll not go there. It's fine to list or to mention that somewhere, but that shouldn't be the focus of this whole discussion. I'm sure that is something everyone can also find on the internet. So if I was the one reviewing, I did say, oh, I mean, there's something common to find. I want somebody who has read about Leeds or that particular university and is able to point out something unique, like I've stated here, oh, Leeds stands out. And they stand out because they have very specialized models that bring together governance theories, sustainable livelihood frameworks, and rigorous quantitative methods, which aligns well with the food security policy that I aim to get expertise in, so that when I go back home, I'm able to liaise with government institutions in shaping the food policy environment back home. Yes. And Lee's, remember I said this is something that just came out of mind. It may not be true that Lee's has got a Center for Global Food Security, but suppose they have, this is how the argument will be. So the Lee's Center for Food Security serves as a hub for practitioners and researchers tackling urban resilient issues, and its policy labs offer hands-on simulations. Yeah. So this probably is not something that you can easily find if you go to the internet and say you're looking for um, a program in food policy. So the one review with my application would see that this guy has done a very extensive reading about lease. Yes. And I know the inside out of the program I'm going to read and the facilities that are there. Yeah. And here I've gone down to mention a particular professor whose work interests me so much. And perhaps that could be another reason for not choosing Oxford or Cambridge, which ranks so high in QS or whatever. Yes. But this professor has got some specialized um, expertise in what I want to do, which is not common to find in other places. And that's what brings me here. Yes. So I've mentioned two professors. I don't know if they are there, but it's just a name I put. It could be something. It could be Professor Richmond, whatever. Yes. So they've got expertise in value chain governance. And my research and what I seek to do when I return home is about making food accessible to people living in informal settlement in Accra. Yeah, so it all comes back to the value chain, food supply, and policies and governance around these areas. And so I want somebody who has expertise in these areas, somebody who has been working in developing country and has been mastering this art. I want to study under these people. I want to gain the skills and expertise they've gathered over the years, which I can transfer back to my home country to address the issue I've talked about. Yeah. So complementing the classroom, the West African Field Work Partnership, and an active student-run food policy society, which is common at the Leeds University of Leeds or the Leeds neighborhood itself, will help me translate theory into practice, and that will foster effective collaboration between myself, the people teaching me, and then the government making policies back home. I'm done with Leeds. Then why this program? This program because So why this program? So there might be variants of food security policy programs running elsewhere or even in the same school. So why this particular one? This particular one because it uniquely, so unique here is very important. It combines policy analysis, it combines advanced data tools, and it also brings in stakeholder engagement strategies. Yes. So I know some programs in the UK, in the course of your training, you get the opportunity to have people working in the field come to the classroom to share their experiences. So you might want to read well about the program you're applying to and see if these things are common there. And that could be another highlight of the program that you would like to mention here. Yeah. So it uniquely combines policy analysis, it brings in advanced data tools and stakeholder engagement strategies. And these strategies focus on addressing malnutrition, climate shocks, and also rapid urbanization in one coherent program. So it's not something you commonly find elsewhere. Yes, other schools have similar programs, but they don't combine all these interdisciplinary perspectives, which is very important in addressing the issue you've spoken about earlier. Yes. So that is one important aspect of this course that you would like to do. And your dissertation would examine how municipal planning frameworks in Accra can systematically integrate agroecological practices in addressing the hunger and food insecurity issues among informal settlers. And when doing so, you would compare policy instruments across three Kenyan municipalities. And the aim is to produce a scalable toolkit that can be embedded in urban gardens and also micro farming into city development plans. And that could strengthen food sovereignty and also reliance and resilience at the municipal level. Yeah. So you might also here highlight some models in there. Already you've talked about them under the school, so it might not be important, but you can mention specific skills you would like to highlight. So like here, I've mentioned advanced data analysis, I've mentioned about stakeholder engagement. So these are skills. So the training goes with the skills. It has advanced data analysis models or tools. And through this, you aim to acquire advanced data analysis skills. The program incorporates stakeholder engagement strategies in the classrooms. And through this, you want to broaden your skills in stakeholder engagement. So I mentioned the model or the delivery approach and the skills you aim to get from there. So if you go to the university website and you go to the course you want to apply to and you click on the models, often they list the outcomes of the model. So you see, by the end of this course, the student would have gained, then they will list what you would have gained. So they go down to list the transferable skills you gain from that particular model. So these are things you need to read. It can't be so generic that one application you send it across. So this, I presume, was written specifically for Leeds. If I was writing another one for, say, Newcastle University, I need to go to their website and there look at the models and the expected skills I would gain from the models if I finish the program. And these are things I need to mention here. And that is what is going to differentiate you from somebody who has written a generic essay and say almost the same thing they said for Leeds, say the same thing for Newcastle, say the same thing for Cambridge, say the same thing for Oxford. It becomes too generic. Remember, the people reviewing your application are faculties in the institution. So if you are saying something which is not there, they know. So you couldn't mention a particular model or say a particular institution which is not in the school, and you say, oh, because I'll benefit from these institutions or because I will study under these professors. They know these professors are not in the school, so it's something that you had generated from elsewhere or you had copied from a different institution. And that is what will set you apart from somebody who hasn't taken enough time to read the program. Yes. So whatever you write, the people reviewing the application know so much about the institution or the university, and they're able to tell that this guy or this lady has read extensively about the department and he knows what he's coming to experience. And that is it. Yeah. So that is the question on why you want to study in the UK, why you want to study at this particular university, why this particular course. Yeah. The final part, or the last but two part, is about your personal statement. So the question goes this way: provide a personal statement to summarize how your background has encouraged you to want to make an impact in your home country. Applicants may wish to highlight any areas where they have already made significant contributions. Listen carefully. Yes, so it could be an area you've been working in and you want to seek advanced training in the same area so that you can make bigger impact. Or it could be something new you have identified which you think needs addressing, and you've developed special interest in the area and you want to do. Yeah, so um, that is it. It might be something, an area where you have already worked in or made some significant contributions, or it could be overcoming personal or community barriers in accessing higher education or within your field. So in my first meeting, somebody asked me if they could include challenges they faced while they were young people into the essay, and I told him that it wouldn't fall anywhere within the impact statement. Yes, if you are still here, this is where your question would fall. Yeah, so if you had experienced some challenges while you were a young person and you overcame that, and that has been a strong motivation for wanting to do what you said you want to do, then so be it. But don't focus solely on yourself. It is important, yes, to overcome challenges, but it is also important to use the challenges to want to address a similar challenge that people are going through or a different challenge that people might be facing. And that is why we say you are making impact. So impact is not just by yourself. It's not that your parents died when you were 5 years and you couldn't have access to education at a very tender age, and you had to go through some challenges, and today you've been able to finish college. That is an achievement at your personal level, but it doesn't sound so impactful because it doesn't extend beyond you. Yes, so real impact is the one that transcends beyond the individual to include people around them or the community where they live. Yeah, so we went through some challenges when you were a kid and your parents died when you were 5 years, and that has been your inspiration. And so growing up, you had focused your attention on maximizing um, or helping to um, expand awareness about the challenges that children who lose their mothers at younger age face. And through your advocacy and engagement in community service and partnership with people, you've been able to help 20 people, 20 kids who were in similar situations secure scholarship. And they've been able to finish high school and are doing well in their field. This is real impact. So you had challenges, you overcame it, and now you're using your challenge as a motivation to help other people. And that is how the story should go. Yeah, so we have a format for going through this. It might not follow exactly the same thing, but we call the STAR approach. Others at start, whatever. STAR. So situation, which sets the scene by describing the context of the problem. So it could be problem you went through, it could be problem in your community or whatever. The task explains the specific goal or responsibility you faced or you were supposed to do. The action outlines the concrete steps that you took to address the problem, and the results will highlight the measurable outcome or impact of your actions. Yes. So remember, like I indicated, the situation could be when you were young, you lost your parents, they died, became difficult getting education because of financial barriers. You never had um, primary education until you were 7 years, whatever. And that delayed seemed to have delayed you back in school. And you are still talking about situation. So I've read some essays, and they kept talking about the situation and the situation and the situation, and then they never landed in any action. So it was all about emotion, and my grandmother wasn't fair to me, and she was beating me, and I couldn't get food, and they spent all the 500 words just lamenting and lamenting and lamenting it. You never saw how it ended. Yes. So to craft a very nice personal statement, I didn't mention this personal statement is quite different from the personal statement you might be writing for when you're applying to your course. So that is more about academic personal statement. There's more about things you have gone through when you're young people. Some of the stories might come in there, but it's quite different. Yes. So let's see a sample of how you may read. Now, remember the question says applicant may wish to highlight any areas where they have read made significant impact. Remember my storyline, I'm still talking about issues pertaining to hunger and food insecurity among people living in informal settlements in Greater Accra. Yes. So here, I still want to base my personal statement around this area. Yes. Now let's see a sample. So the situation, I'm telling you the context. I'm setting the context for the reader to understand what I'm going to talk about. So I'm describing the context of the problem. So growing up in a remote Sahelian village in northern Ghana, I watched my family and neighbors struggle through yearly harvest failures with erratic rainfall. So if you've been following what is happening around the world, you'd understand that rainfall patterns in recent years tend to be quite different from the past. And it's all coming from climate actions. Yes. So I grew up. So the one reason will know that I grew up in northern part of Ghana. And there were erratic rainfall and depleted soil. Food scarcity meant long queues for daily meal distributions. And I remember walking miles to help my mother queue for maize distribution while younger siblings often went to bed hungry. And at school, classmates fainted from hypoglycemia. You might not want to go this detailed because the one reason might not have an understanding of. Yeah, so I feel this is more technical. I could say they fainted from hunger, just to keep it simple. But if you're coming from a medical background, you would understand this. Yes. And then attendance limited during the dry season as children sought labor to buy food. So if you've ever lived in farming communities during harvest seasons, and you see kids not coming to school. Or if you've ever worked there and it's time to harvest the maize and the rice, or time to grow maize and rice, and you see that kids not coming to school, attendance had dropped. Yes, they are going to help the parents back in the farm. And I'm building the storyline on this. And the kids would have to do this just to labor to buy food. And these experiences engraved in me the stark reality that hunger is more than just empty stomachs. So, if you remember from the top there, when I was telling you about how to write a problem statement, I'm still telling the same storyline. If somebody is hungry, it undermines their education, it undermines their health. So, the same storyline, this is a brief of how to write a problem statement. Like I indicated in my second presentation. Yes. So this experience have engaged in me the stack. So these experiences engaged in me the stark reality that hunger is not just about going to bed with empty stomachs. It also undermines education. Remember, I've mentioned that there that kids will have to stop school and help their parents in the farms, and it's because of hunger. And some children fainted in class. It's because of hunger. It's health issue. And then it comes back to community resilience. Remember, I've talked about harvest failures. I've talked about my mother queuing long for food. Yes. So it was during those times or candlelit study hours and overhead conversations about crop cycles that I developed an unwavering resolve to combat food insecurity at its root. So I've set the scene, I've told them what I went through, what other people went through, what the community went through. The story is still the same about what I've been telling all this while about hunger. So, like I told you, this like telling a story, it's a grant application you're making, and so everything must link to one another. So over the time, I've been speaking about hunger, food insecurity, and here the same thing. I'm talking about hunger and food insecurity. Yes. Good. Situation set. Uh, where is it? I seem to have messed them up. Just a minute. I wrote them in a Word document, copying them here. It's like I just messed them up. Just a minute. Just a minute. For this situation. Okay. Situation. Sorry. Task. Is it fine now? Hello, Faustina. Is it fine?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. So the
Mhm.
next is about the task. Remember, I've mentioned what the task is. So the task, you explain the specific goals that you sought to achieve or responsibility you are given. So I'm telling the reader that I won a scholarship, but I didn't have so much space. So I chip it somewhere within the first sentence. So when I won a scholarship to study agricultural economics at the University of Ibadan, it could be University of Ghana, wherever, I realized most rural development efforts addressed crops, not policy frameworks. Remember, I've mentioned that we don't have very comprehensive policy, food policy frameworks in my home country. And those that exist. So now the story I'm building again is that even those policies that exist tend to focus on addressing crop yields and not policy that sustain food systems. I identified two critical gaps. One, there was lack of community-driven food distribution networks, and there were also absence of policy advocacy channels for smallholder farmers. In addition, I recognize that existing non-governmental organizations often operated in silos. What I'm trying to say is that they operated in isolation. And because they operated in isolation, they duplicated efforts. So you could have, say, 10 non-governmental organizations seeking to address the same thing using the same approach. Yes, if they were working together, they could maximize their impact, or they could focus on certain areas. So perhaps I'm focusing on crops, you focus on policy frameworks, you focus on environmental sustenance, you focus on community resilience, and together we address the bigger issue. Not just that, we are all focusing on crops, forgetting that there is policy part left, there is community resilience left out, and the other issues that needs to be addressed. So in my study, I identified two challenges. Yes, one of them was that there was lack of community-driven food distribution networks, and also the absence of policy advocacy channels for smallholder farmers. And in addition, I recognize that existing non-governmental organizations operated in isolations, and it appears that they duplicated efforts without aligning with local needs. My objective became clear, designing a program that combines nutrition education, local food banks, and grassroots policy inputs that could be piloted in my home. So it could be your hometown, it could be your state, whatever. To succeed, you needed to forge partnership, to build partnership with local government, secure funding, and ensure your model was adaptable to both drought-affected and flood-prone areas. So that was the task. The task here is that you sought to forge partnership with local governments, secure funding, ensure that your model was adaptable. But if I had just moved in to state this, then the reader might ask me, what is informing this? So I had to set the context well by telling him what influenced this. You understand? Yeah. So it's a good way of telling a story, give context. Like you want somebody to help you in education. You don't just tell them, oh, give me money to go to school. You set the context. Oh, these are the challenges I face, and this is what I intended to do, and these were the things I did, but I couldn't get support. And so I am appealing to you if you could do this. You don't just go to them and say, can you help me do this, without setting the context properly? They may not see the need to help you. The same way, you want to tell the story, you need to set the scene so well. Yeah. So the action was that you established the Food Security Alliance, which was a student-led consortium which mobilized over 50 volunteers from agriculture, nutrition, economics department, and you launched a pilot in 3 villages where you converted unused school storage into micro food banks. You stock them with maize, sorghum, legumes sourced from cooperative farmers. You organize bi-weekly workshops on sustainable farming practices, nutrition-rich school feeding menus, and community-led monitoring of food reserves. Recognizing cultural barriers around women's role, you collaborated with local women's groups to So that part is telling the professor or whoever is reading my story, this is what I did. But I also identify that there could be challenges or situations that will not allow other people to effectively take part in what I'm seeking to do. And one of such people are women, perhaps children. And so it's another way of telling the reader that you know what you're doing, you are very open-minded, you embrace challenges that come with project implementation. And it tells them that if they train you and you go back, remember you said when you go back, you're going to implement some programs. You would have anticipated all these and address them. And it's one of the reasons projects don't do well, failure to identify potential challenges that might come along the way and addressing them or being proactive in addressing them. Yeah. So you're telling the reader not just that you know what you're doing, you're also proactive. You know the challenges that might come along the way and you sought to address them. Yeah. So you recognize cultural barriers around women's role. You collaborate with local women groups to lead meal planning sessions and introduce seed banks, which was managed exclusively by female farmers. So it's also about inclusivity, bringing women into the picture. So through town hall meetings, you could be more specific. Say maybe through 10 town hall meetings, you gathered feedback to shape policy briefs and advocating for improved rural transport subsidies and fertilizer access, maybe from the government. You then presented these briefs to state legislators. You could be more specific, and then you secured their commitment to integrate them into the 2023 agricultural policy. Anybody who reads this, if the yeah, the guy is up there, I've told you initially that, or I've mentioned initially in my project, that when I come back, I'm going to collaborate with people in addressing hunger and food insecurity issues in my country. And one of such people is the government. And so it will look so interesting for the reader to get back here and see that I have done something in the past and I've been able to even use my project and policy briefs have been incorporated into the 2023 National Agricultural Policy. This guy must be top notch. Yes. And what was the results? You've told us so many stories. What did you achieve? So over the 12 months, you supported over 2,000 households. You reduced seasonal hunger by 40% and increased school attendance by 25% in pilot villages. You may not want to state it this way. If you say you reduce, you are claiming causality. And it's something that personally I often don't want to be bold to state that I did this, I reduced that. No, my project contributed to, so I'm not taking all the glory. Remember, other people are working on other things. So, except that you have very strong evidence to say, oh, it was solely my project that led to 25% reduction in whatever, 40% reduction in seasonal hunger and 25% improvement in school attendance. You would not want to be bold to state that. You could say, oh, having implemented these programs, we experienced, yes, or you could say these programs have contributed to 40% reduction in seasonal hunger and a 25% increase in school attendance in pilot villages. Yes. In that case, you're acknowledging the potential effects of similar programs or previous programs that were implemented to address the issue. Yeah, so some people might have worked on the same issue 5 years ago. The truth is, policies don't tend to show their impact immediately. So they may have implemented some policies, the governments may have implemented some policies 5 years ago, and the results may not be seen today. It could just take like 10 years. And so if you just piloted some projects and want to claim all the glory, it becomes quite weird. Yes, so you want to shy away from that. Also, female managed seed banks tripled planting diversity. while community food banks maintain a 90% stock availability during lean months. And your policy recommendations, like you stated previously, were adopted into the state agricultural budget. And that unlocked 200,000. This a huge money. Yeah, remember I said these are just templates. Yeah, so you might want to state it in your local currency, or you might want to convert it into pounds for the one reading to appreciate it. But £200,000 is a big money. And it may raise questions about authenticity of what you're saying. Yes. So more than half of our program alumni now serve as local food champions, and they are replicating the model that you developed. And these communities have convinced you that the intersection of policy design and community engagement and evidence-based practice can sustainably transform food systems. So the STAR approach, others add, is a START approach. So the last bit, so from here, these outcomes convinced me. From here is about the lessons you've learned from what you've done. I could have just ended my statement here, but I wanted to add some lessons I've learned and how that links to what I want to study, the program I want to pursue. So these outcomes convinced me that intersection of policy design, community engagement, and evidence-based practice can sustainably transform food systems. So what? So pursuing an MSc in food security policy through the Commonwealth Scholarship Program will equip you with advanced analytical tools and networks or skills, whatever, advanced analytical skills to scale that project you did nationally or maybe regionally or to other districts, whatever, whichever way you want to state it. Yeah. So that is it. Remember, I told you you don't want to be so emotional and spend all the 500 words talking about yourself and when your grandmother was beating you and your mother died and you didn't have food, and you tell a long story full of emotions and it hasn't seemed to have an end and no impact. Yeah. So that's about personal statement. The next is about summarize how you have engaged in voluntary activities. Here I provide just one example. So that is 500 words. What I did in the past was that I broke them down into 4 or 5 paragraphs. So I could use the whole 500 words to tell one voluntary activity I did, or I could use the 500 words to tell 5 community activities I took part in. I felt that it is worth telling more than telling one story long. Yes, 2 of them might go well. There's no criteria in doing 5 or doing 1, whatever. But I thought that if I could tell 5 different activities I have engaged in, it will be quite interesting than telling almost the same story like I told in my personal statement, because it's still going to follow the STAR approach. And I didn't want it that way. And I wanted the people to embrace my engagement in different activities. Yes. So in my time, I spoke about my engagement with other community members. We are mobilizing funds to build a community clinic. I spoke about how I used my research to inform policy at the hospital I was working in. I also spoke about other communities I've forgotten, yeah. But it still follows the STAR approach. The first is the situation of the problem. Second is the task. Third is action. Fourth is results. And the last bit is about lessons you've learned. Yes. So I come back here using the STAR approach. Flat displaced hundreds of families along coastal communities in Ghana, and it left them without food, shelter, and basic amenities. So that's the situation. And during the last year, I aimed to raise $5,000, which is huge money, for emergency relief within 1 month task. I mobilized 8 volunteers, secured the venue partnership, and led charity runs and bake sales, and managed logistics for supply, procurement, and distribution. By delivering timely aid and strengthening grassroots trust, our response improved regional resilience. I've been so I haven't been more specific here because I didn't add communities, but ideally I would add communities. So, say flood displays hundreds of people along coastal community. I could mention more specifically which coastal community. Last year, Fortin, there's a community in the Volta region where floods displaced a lot of people. So imagine that I did something there last year during the floods. I could use that. It doesn't necessarily mean it should always be about this. It could be something. But what I'm trying to say is that it must follow the star approach. It tells the situation. So what was the situation? Tell the situation was the task. The task you were supposed to do. Here, I would advise you use I often because we are more interested in, yes, all this while I've talked about partnership, collaboration. Still here, I mentioned collaboration and partnership, but I also mentioned what I did. So I partnered with people or I led initiatives that brought together different stakeholders to address the issue. So yes, I want them to feel what I have done, even though I did it with people. But it all began with me. I led the initiative in bringing people on board. Yes, and that is it. Yes, so the same story. The other one was 500 words task. Sorry, using the star approach. This, if I were writing, say, 5 different community services, it means I was going to write 100 words, each of them following the star approach. So situation, your task, your action, resource, and then the lessons you've learned. Yeah. So if you decide, like I said, if you decide to write 5 different activities or 3 different activities, it's just going to follow the same line. But you would use appropriate words to link your paragraphs. In addition, in another project, moreover, in more recent activities, like you are linking previous paragraphs to, or in a similar project, just to link what you've spoken about. Yeah, so this is the last one. There's a part, it's not part of the essay, but at the beginning of your application, they will ask you to fill your employment. So where you work, what is your role, how long have you been working there, what are your responsibilities? And in each, you have handovers. So if you've worked, they give you 5 slots. So you're able to provide up to 5 places you've worked. They don't limit you to time. So perhaps if you've been working at one place for last 10 years, you just fill one of the boxes. If you've changed 5 works over the last, say, 5 years or 10 years, you fill them. In either case, you're able to add up to 5 works 5 places you've worked. Yes. Note the difference between your employment and community service. Yes. So what I was talking about was purely community service, not necessarily something I do daily for a living now, but things I do occasionally as my contribution to community development. It's different from my job as a doctor, as a physician, as a nurse, as a teacher, a lecturer, whatever, lawyer. Yeah. And so if you're writing about your role, tell it in a more impactful way. Don't just say, oh, I go to the consulting room. And so I provide general medical consultation for close to 40 patients a day. Some would say, oh, I provide general medical consultation for patients and perform various clinical procedures. Then another person says, oh, I provide general medical consultation. Let me mention this away from what I've been talking about, because I didn't have time to write something related to, yes. But this was what I wrote for myself. I'm coming from medical background, so I wrote about this. But if I was writing for the story I've been building, it should link to this. Yeah. So I provide general medical consultation for close to 40 patients a day, and I perform various clinical procedures, including physical examination. In addition, I order essential laboratory tests and investigation for patient management and prepare patients' treatment plans. Also, I have led my hospital's research group to conduct the first ever operational research on client satisfaction to improve service delivery at the hospital. So that's the role. What has the role taught me? To serve in this role or serving in these important roles, I'm able to offer expert clinical opinion on a wide range of health-related issues. I'm also able to take full and independent responsibility for the clinical care of patients. And I'm also able to organize and prioritize workloads. So I've told the people that I'm not just in the consulting room seeing patients and prescribing medications and doing all that. I am also building myself as a person. So now I'm able to work independently. I'm able to take full responsibility. I'm able to work with different patients. I'm able to organize and prioritize workloads. I'm telling the people that, yes, I know that studying in the UK requires prioritizing workload. I know it involves with working with diverse students and faculties. I know it involves taking independent actions, and I've got all these skills, and I'm bringing them on board. But I haven't said so. But the one reason understands that the guy has got the skills which will be relevant to what he wants to come and study. Yes. So it's a nice way of telling what you do on a normal day at work, but making it in a very impactful way. Yeah. So that is what I wanted to talk about today, and that is all for the essays. So thank you. I would take your questions if there are any related to what I've spoken about or what I've discussed in the past, or anything related to the scholarship. Remember, today might be the last day for the meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. Thank you. So we will now take questions. If you have any question, you can put your hand up or you can put it in the chat box as well. Yeah, Richmond. Yeah, you can unmute and ask your question. Richmond. Richmond, you can ask your question. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Please, you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Please, my question is, I think for the last two, I was able to join the first webinar for the last two, I wasn't able to join when the webinar was in session, but I have been able to get my hands on the videos, and I have been able to get time to listen to everything that went on. And I want to ask that since the scholarship or the Commonwealth scholarship is mostly about doing partnership and collaboration with organization and NGOs, how from Mr. Richmond's presentation, it seems if you don't have any links, or if you haven't built any links or with any organization or NGOs yet, meaning it's it's a very great disadvantage to you. So I really want a clarification of that. So let's say for us or me personally, who don't really have any links, or I haven't really collaborated or joined any organization, what do I do? That's my first question.
Okay. Do you have a second question?
And uh, please, I want to put my second question in a very good order. So I'll ask
So
that one
we
later.
should answer. Okay. All right, that's
Okay.
fine.
Yes, I highlighted that I understand where you're coming from, where I have mentioned over and over again about partnership and collaboration throughout my presentation. I emphasized that because whatever the case, you are going to work with people if you intend to implement the project you will be writing. And one of the important things that indicate that you'll be able to work with people is to say that I've worked with people in the past. So partnership doesn't necessarily mean working with NGOs. It could just be where you work, the hospital, the bank, the school where you work, how you've collaborated with your colleague teacher to organize uh, additional class sessions for children who are not doing so well in class, or how you've been able to partner with colleague at the bank to provide further explanation to customers seeking to open accounts there, how you've been able to work with diverse teams. So it's about how you work well in a team and how you intend to use that skills and experience in the future. It doesn't have to do with the big organizations in your community or in your country. It could be just one person. It could be how you collaborated with your friend, or how you collaborated with the next household or neighborhood, whatever, to do something which benefits community or which impacts the lives of people. Yes. So don't see it so big. Yes, maybe what I mentioned seems so big, but that is not what I intend. What I intend to put out there is that you need to work with people to achieve bigger impact. And the people could be those that sit next to you in the office where you work currently. It could be your next household. It could be your mom. It could be your dad, how you've collaborated with them to do some small project that benefited your household or that benefited your community. Yeah.
Please, thank you. Please, can I ask my second question?
Yeah, go
Hello.
ahead. Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. Please, since applying from the onset of the webinars, we have been focusing on how to answer the questions or write the essays for when applying to the Commonwealth shared scholarship only. But with the application to it, like a hand in hand thing or a simultaneous application, you have to apply to the school of your choice and also the Commonwealth scholarship together. So I wanted to ask that uh, what should we expect? Or as in, you see, we have talked about all the essays involved in applying to the Commonwealth scholarship, but what are the type of essays that we should expect? Or that one, do we have to go to the school page to see the the thing that's how we have to apply what I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying.
I'm not so clear with
Like
the question you're putting forward.
yeah, like I'm saying that our main emphasis from the beginning of the webinars have been on how to answer the essays or write the essays for the Commonwealth share scholarship. But what about the schools?
Okay.
The essays involved in the schools, since we'll be doing them hand in hand or simultaneously. Yeah, that's my question. Thank you.
I suppose the only thing you'll be writing for school application is personal statement. Yes, I haven't spoken about that, but I thought that it isn't something big to worry so much about. The truth is, gaining admission isn't such difficult once you meet the criteria. So the criteria of the person should have done a first degree in medical related field. They should have graduated with first class or second class upper. When submitting the application, they need to upload 2 references. They should upload their transcript, certificate, whatever. Once you meet this criteria and you've uploaded your personal statement, it shouldn't be difficult getting admission. The bigger part is getting funding. So I've had a lot of people write back to me and say, "Oh, I've got admission at this university. Can I get scholarship?" And I tell them that gaining admission isn't a big deal. I mean, it's no news to say I've got admission in the UK. A lot of people get it once you meet the criteria. It shouldn't be difficult. The scholarship per se, where you're competing with 45,000 to 50,000 people, is where the focus should be. Yeah, so the only essay you might be writing as part of your course application will be a personal statement, often 500 words. Write a personal statement, and they often tend to give you an outline. So they'll tell you what is your motivation for wanting to apply to this school, what experience I've got in the past, what do you look out for, what are your future plans. 500 words. Yeah, I think that should be straightforward to do once you have even listened to this. Yes. So my emphasis has not been there because I feel it's something which isn't so difficult to come by. But the scholarship is. Yes.
Richmond, have you been answered?
Yes, please. And please, my last question.
Okay.
No, in fact, my last but one question.
All right.
But I'll just let me ask this last question. Maybe I'll add another one. Please, I just wanted to ask. Please, what is the chances of a student or a graduate with an engineering background gaining the Commonwealth scholarship as compared to those in the sciences and the health? The health, yes, that's my question. Because yeah, please, that's my question. Yes.
It's quite difficult to answer this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think one course has a priority over the other. Like I told you, it's only on merit. So they advertise the projects and they've categorized them. There are projects that align with each discipline. So engineering might fall under sciences. Health might fall under the health. Osina, can you,
Can I?
somebody is talking in the background.
Oh,
Please,
Which one?
you have
Kindly
muted
unmute.
yourself.
All right, sorry. So back to your question. What I was saying is, I don't think any course is given a priority over another, honestly, because like Clinton initially stated, the scholarships are grouped under teams. So we have the health team, sciences, engineering, they have their team, entrepreneurship, law, whatever. Yes. And it's solely based on merit. So as long as you're able to write very compelling essays and tell a compelling story and why you think that they should choose yours over the one coming from a health background or a law background, that is it. Yes. So I'm not able to say that if you're coming from science background or a health background, these are your chances compared to. I don't have that information, and I don't think it even works in reality. It's um, just work on your essays and write compelling essays, and I feel that that's the way to go around this. Right.
Yeah. Thank you. So, Dominica, you can unmute. You can ask your question.
All right, thank you. So my question is, you mentioned that we should use the STAR approach for personal statements. Now, when you get to the paragraph about action and you have maybe 3 examples of such steps you may have taken to solve the problem, after writing that part, when you then want to describe the result, do you have to specifically state the impact of each of those steps, or do you just give like a general summary about the impact of your actions?
Okay. So if you look in the essay, or you had another question, or that was all.
I
No,
think
that's
she's
all.
done.
Okay. All right. So if presentation I got to actions, I mentioned a lot of things there, and the results too. I got more than one results. Yeah. So you would not state that this action led to that, this action led to that. So overall, having implemented these actions, these were the results. We saw this impact improved the way, but you don't tell them to say this action led to that, this action led to that. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah,
basically the result of all of these steps, you just mention them as like one paragraph. You don't have to be
Yeah.
specifying. Okay,
No.
thank you.
All right.
yeah. Chukuka. Yeah, you can ask your question. Chukuka. Yeah.
Your name is yeah, Sir Richmond, thank you very much. Thank you. Classes, we really enjoyed ourselves.
I hope that's the
So
name. What's the
my
name?
question,
The
my
name.
name is Chukuka.
Chukuka.
Yes. Yes. It's an Igbo name from Nigeria.
I know. Yeah. Igbo men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Igbo men. We know you.
So
You're welcome.
so my question is for this Commonwealth scholarship, most of they already have their course, like they already have the program. So if one decides to go for a program that is not that closely related to what he did during his undergraduate, but for the fact that maybe he felt that the the problem he wants to solve may is in alignment with some of those courses, and the person may want to craft the Are they going to like check is the consideration like when they are awarding the are they checking whether your background is related to the course you applied for you to be given the award? In UK, one can actually get admission to any course, like even if it's not that related to your program. So in as much as you submit the requirement to the school can take admission. So I want to know whether if Commonwealth, when evaluating, they also put that into consideration that this person studied economics, now he wants to go into marketing or he wants to go into animal science. You understand? So is there anything like that?
So in the past, I've seen people, a few of them, make some direct. So there was a guy who studied public health, first degree, and switched to international development for Commonwealth. There was another lady who did something in real estate, switched to environmental science. Well, from where I sit, I may not know the direct link between the two courses, but I believe that in one way or the other, every course is related to another. So somebody does social science and comes to public health. I've seen somebody coming directly from political science, now working in public health. It's about being able to tell how degree aligns with what you want to do. Yeah, so some political science, and he argues from the point that public health is not just about the health of the people, it extends beyond that. So it's about policies governments make and the decisions that they may not make. So policies is about what people do or decide not to do, governments do or decide not to do. And so coming from a political background, he believes that public health should not be limited to having trained in medicine or whatever, nursing, but also people from such backgrounds who play a very key role. So policy play a very key role in the outcome of health. So you see the argument he's making. Yeah, he doesn't have, maybe none of his undergraduate training was related to health, nothing. But now he's able to make an argument which makes sense and is valid, that he wants to come to public health, to do public health or come to health. Yes. So I'm saying this to let you know that courses are linked. Perhaps you haven't looked at them more broadly. You would find that one course might be linked to the other. If you find that they are linked, you must make a compelling argument of why you want to switch. Yes, even if they are not linked, you can still make your argument and say, yes, I did this in the first degree, but I worked here and I've seen that this is the issue. And I've got the skills and interest in this area, and I'm making a switch here. I feel there's an area I can make an impact. All right, this is what I've done in the field. It makes sense. So I did medicine. When I finished, I was a teacher. I've interacted with people. I saw the challenges that people in rural communities go through in accessing quality education. Set up a foundation, building a community center at a remote community back in Ghana. And this is an area that I want to continue building. And so I want to do something in educational policy. It makes sense. Yes. So the ability to make a compelling case, an argument of why you want to switch from one field to the other is where the issue lies. But I believe that it's feasible and people have done it in the past. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I hope you're okay with the answer.
Yes, yes. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Any more questions from the audience? question. Okay. Clayton, are you around? Adidayo. You can ask your question.
Good evening, Faustina.
Good
Whichever day.
evening. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Richmond. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. It was really insightful. So I just needed a clarification um, about Commonwealth. Okay, for example, I studied agricultural economics. So now I feel like because it's a social science. I now feel like I want to spread my tentacles. So okay, so I applied. I picked a school. I applied maybe food security in one school. I applied maybe pure economics in another school. Maybe other school maybe I applied for marketing. Um, does this affect the mode of selection?
Mode of selection, technically no. So if you are applying to regular masters, it might. So what happens in regular masters is that on the application portal, you're asked to list 3 schools and the courses you have applied to. So if you are awarded a scholarship, you would choose one of them. But often the first is your first choice, the second is your second choice, and the third is your third choice. So like you said, imagine that you've applied to Glasgow for food security. You've applied to King's College for pure economics. And you've applied to Manchester for health economics. It becomes difficult to the one reading your application what the guy actually wants to do. You understand?
Okay.
And to them, it appears that you still haven't found what you want to do. So, unlike shared masters, the
Okay.
regular masters, you choose 3 schools. The advice is that the schools should be related. I mean, the courses should be related. So I could have chosen Masters in Public Health, Newcastle, MPhil Population Health, Cambridge, and say Masters in International Health, University of Leeds. It's still public health, and they are related. The reason is that you are going to write one essay for them. It's not like the shared, where when you log into the application, they list all the schools. So you say you choose the health theme or the health track.
So also
You-
so that means literally what you're saying is for the regular, the course must be look alike, must be alike.
yes,
But for the shared scholarship, it is not necessarily the course are alike. It can still be within the scope of the faculty you are. It's still considerable.
yes. So for the shared, you can apply to whatever different courses
So
because
doesn't matter. Doesn't
no, it
matter.
doesn't matter because different people or different schools. So the one reviewing your application at Cambridge doesn't know that you have applied to
Mhm.
health economics at least. You understand?
Okay. Okay.
But for the regular masters, the same
Oh,
person sees your application and see, oh, the guy applied pure economics at Glasgow and applied health economics at Newcastle and applied a different course at King's College. He doesn't seem to know what he wants to do. You
mhm.
understand? But if it is shared, the one at least doesn't see what you applied at Glasgow, and the one at Glasgow doesn't see what you applied at Manchester. Yes. But if you want to go that way, remember that you would need to write different thesis because your storyline for pure economics might be different from
Yeah.
storyline for food security. That
That's
might be
what.
different from the storyline for health economics. You understand?
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, so you can apply as many skills as you want. Just
Possible.
understand that you would need a lot of time to write different theses. Yeah.
I equally want to ask my second question. Okay, let me say, I think this last batch, all the three school I applied, the school I was given scholarship for Commonwealth. So my curiosity was like, are we saying the school doesn't have any say? Because it's a shared scholarship. I believe the American government and the school is in conjunction for this scholarship. The school has already given me the scholarship, but I didn't get any mail from Commonwealth. The three school I applied gave
Sorry,
me
come again. You said you
Yeah.
got scholarship.
that like I was given sorry offer letter from the
Oh,
Yeah.
three school, but from Commonwealth, I think they have the financing. I was not able
did
to
you
get any.
did you apply for regular masters or the
No,
shared scholarship?
she had scholarship. I applied for different discipline.
Okay. So when I was answering the first question, I told you that getting admission in the UK isn't a big deal, so long as you meet the basic criteria. Now, once, um, so see it as two different processes. Getting
Okay.
admission is entirely different from scholarship. In fact, the one who might be assessing your application for admission might be different from the one who is reading your scholarship thesis, even though they might, the one reviewing your scholarship application might go back to ask whether they've given you admission or not. So for shared, the financing, I believe, has to do with the university. So when the university nominates you, except there are very obvious reasons, except that you should be given the scholarship. The my comment here is that if you have admission, don't presume that it guarantees you scholarship. I've
Mhm.
mentioned I've mentioned that once you meet the basic criteria in the UK, you have very high chances of getting admission. So if you've submitted your English proficiency certificate transcript,
So
recommendation letter, all
so
of
I
them.
are you saying
Mhm.
that the school that's the are you saying the school solely doesn't have any contribution to scholarship selection at all?
I
The
did I
schools,
Richmond, let me help here.
all right.
So the schools for the share, I think the school have even to me, I believe they have more say than the Commonwealth scholar, the secretariat, because they do the selection. My professor told me that they read our essays and they selected us. So it's only by the school. Then they will give the feedback to the Commonwealth secretariat. And in some cases, you can get your offer letter and at the same time get an internal scholarship from the school, but you don't get the Commonwealth scholarship. You
Yes,
can get
it
other external, yeah,
yes,
but
it
you
happens
don't
to me
get
in the
the
past.
scholarship.
They even gave me two different scholarships, but they didn't give me scholarship for Commonwealth. So I was like, what could have been the problem?
Yeah. So the school have a lot of say in it because my scholarship was even announced to me by the school before Commonwealth did. So that means the school knows who they've selected.
Already.
Yeah.
Okay. I think what I can just draw out from that, I think school varies, the way they operate varies. It could be maybe some schools the some schools shared maybe the mode of selection together, and some school maybe they're the one that nominate students for scholarship.
So Adedayo,
Hmm? I'm with you.
Understand that submitting course application and scholarship are two different things. If you have admission, it doesn't guarantee that you would have the scholarship.
Scholarship.
Like I said, two different within the same school, two different groups are assessing. One is assessing your application, so they will offer you admission. Another is assessing your scholarship. They say your scholarship was not nominated. The final say, like Faustina said, mostly lies with the university. If you were not given the scholarship, what it means is that the school did not nominate you for the scholarship. You understand? Even though they've given you admission, the processes are two: admission and then scholarship. They wouldn't say, oh, because we did not give you scholarship, Commonwealth scholarship, you are not giving you admission. No, it doesn't work that way. Admission people are different from scholarship people. Yes.
I hope you're okay now.
Okay.
Felicia. Felicia, you can ask your question. Hello, Mary. Felicia Mary. Hello. Oh, Chuku, I saw your hand. You still want to ask your question? Felicia is not. Yeah, you can.
I is Mr. Dedayo that I needed to like clarify. I needed to confirm from him because he was saying that he got scholarship from schools and did not get Commonwealth share. So I don't know whether if it's those small discounts that school used to give as scholarship, that is what it's calling scholarship. I don't know. I wanted to be sure. Because he said school gave him a scholarship, but he did not get a Commonwealth. I don't know whether you see those small discounts that school do give as for international students that they know very well that I cannot even afford the other.
Actually, it was 60% discount scholarship.
Oh,
And
Even the remaining 40, they know you cannot afford it. They
sure you
know very well
understand.
that even if it's 30% itself, we
Sure you
Nigerians cannot
understand.
afford it because
So what's not the point? So, but actually, it is. I can still consider it a scholarship because it's not fully. It's not that you are paying fully tuition fee. They still slash it. It is only for people that who can afford it. So I just forfeited it.
how many
So
percentage?
60, I think
Says how
66.
many percent?
I think 66.
66.
Oh,
Yeah,
uh,
that is a good one. Which school is that?
Newcastle.
oh.
Okay. So the
Oh,
amount you made to pay
Newcastle.
was how much?
I didn't even I've forgotten. I'm not even interested. If they are not giving me full scholarship, I'm not ready to spend anybody.
Yeah, first I think somebody raised their hand.
Yeah, Felicia, but she's not. Oh, I don't know. She's not responding.
I'm
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Is
You can
Felicia
ask your
there?
question. Felicia
Yes,
Mary.
good
Yeah.
evening.
Good
Yeah,
evening.
good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you very much, Mr. Richmond. Thank you also, Faustina. Hello.
Hi, you're welcome.
Yeah. Oh, so Mr. Richmond, sorry, I wanted to find out the applying to the university and applying to the Commonwealth. When am I supposed to apply to the university? Am I supposed to apply to the university when the Commonwealth application opens, or should I look out for when the application for schools will open, then apply to them and wait for the Commonwealth shared scholarship to open? Or do they work hand in hand? I mean, the application process actually. That's my
Okay.
question.
So which one do you intend applying to? Is it shared or regular masters?
I intend applying to the shared. I'm kind of finding it confusing, the difference between shared and regular masters. I want to believe I have to apply to a school first before I can apply to the shared, or am I mixing it up?
So in either case, you need to submit course application. I'm asking this because for shared, you would need to wait for applications to open to know which schools have been advertised and which programs. And then you can send in your course application. For
Okay.
regular masters, because you are not limited the schools and the programs you can apply to, you can apply anytime the courses open. I mean, the schools admission opens, even when Commonwealth has not opened applications for admission scholarship. So
Yes.
if you
Okay,
intend to
so
apply to,
the yes, the program you're calling regular masters is like applying to schools.
so there are two different Commonwealth Masters scholarships: regular
Oh,
masters
okay.
and shared scholarship. The regular
Mm-hmm.
masters application questions are the same as the shared. The review process is quite different. So for regular masters, if you are from Nigeria, I know they have nominating agencies in Nigeria. So what happens is that you submit application to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission in London, and then send copies of your application to, I'm using Ghana as an example. In the past, that's how it's been. So after submitting your application in October to Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, you print out the application forms, send copies to the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat with your transcript, your certificate, your national identity card, the passport, photo, and recommendation letter. I don't remember. So you send them there, then they'll, so say 100 people apply to Commonwealth. The same 100 people will send the application there. And then the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat sit on the applications, review them, maybe call all 100 people for interview. After that, they shortlist 50 people and send the names of the 50 people to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission in London and say, 100 people from Ghana applied to the Commonwealth Regular Masters Program. You've interviewed them, you selected 50 people, and this is the people whose application you should review. What it means is that if 200 people sent in applications to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission, they are only going to review applications for the 50 people whose name came from the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat. You understand? The regular masters is very different. You don't send any copies to the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat or any nominating agency in your country. The nominating agency is the university in the UK. So when you apply, your application first goes to the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission in London, and they'll push your application to the specific university you applied to. So unlike regular masters, when you log into the application, you don't see any school there. You start your name, sex, date of birth, which school did you attend, what work have you done in the past. Then it moves you to the application questions. Provide your problem statement, how you intend to apply your knowledge, your personal statement. You fill that part. Then you get to the final part. It asks you, list 3 schools you would like to attend if you are offered the scholarship. So the decision lies with you. Oh, I want to go to Cambridge. I want to go to Oxford. I want to go to King's College. You list them there according to preference, 3. And then you list the courses you want to read there. If you have already applied to the courses or you have admissions, they will ask you to provide your admission number, and then you put it in there. If you don't have the admission number, that shouldn't be a problem. But if you are awarded a scholarship, you should have gained admission at that time. So it couldn't be that you have received rejection emails from all 3 universities. You can't win the scholarship if this is the case. This is how the regular masters work. Shared, you log into the application, then you'd be directed to the track. So there are 6 tracks: health, sciences, law, whatever. If you are coming from health background, you select health. Then it sends you to the health track. And there they list all the universities and the courses they are advertising. It's called shared because it's a partnership between the universities and the Commonwealth Scholarship Commission. And so the universities each year will say, oh, NICAS will say, this year you are sponsoring MSc, drug chemistry. Cambridge says we are sponsoring MPhil, population health. Oxford, the same thing. King's College say we are doing MSc, global public health. So when you log into the application for the shared scholarship, the schools come this way and then the courses they are offering. So if I decide to apply to Oxford, I click on Oxford, it takes me to the specific portal for Oxford. Then I start filling in the same information I did for regular masters.
Okay.
Yes. So back to your question, if you're applying to regular masters, you can apply to school at any time, even before the scholarship opens, because you are not limited the schools and programs you can choose from. But if you intend to apply to shared, then you need to wait till November, where Commonwealth Scholarship Commission opens applications. And there you would see which schools are advertising which programs for which year. So the schools tend to change each year. In my time, Newcastle was there. They were doing or they were advertising MSc Global Public Health. Last 2 years, the same program was not there. Last year, they didn't advertise that. They advertised MSc Drug Chemistry. Yes. So until the course opens, the scholarship application opens, you wouldn't know which schools are there and what programs. Some schools tend to be consistent, like Cambridge, Oxford. Over the past 5 years, I think each year they've been advertising MPhil population health. That is under the health track, but it tends to change sometimes. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, from experience, can I apply to the shared and also apply to the regular masters at the same time? Or I'm supposed to just select one and apply to?
So you can apply to them both. What happens is that the regular masters opens in October, closes in first week or second week of November. Then, right after that, the shared opens second week of November, closes in second week of December. So
Okay.
you can apply to
So I can
both
apply
them.
to the both of them. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome, please. Oh, please see again. Richmond. You can ask your question. Richmond.
Okay. Please, thank you very much for another opportunity. Please, I just wanted to verify that, let's say, since the Commonwealth Scholarship has a specific number of students that they have been, or graduates, yes, that they have been awarding the scholarship every year. Let's say if for 2025, 2026, they are going to award 800 students. That to the 800 students, do they come, whether you apply to the regular scholarship or the shared scholarship, do both applications mount up to that 800 students? That's my question.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So it's limited funding. This year we are sponsoring 600 Commonwealth scholars. So regular masters and shared scholars, PhDs, whatever, 600.
Have you been answering?
Okay.
Richmond? Yeah.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Any further question? Okay. There appears to be no further question. Kabute. Clinton.
Yeah, hello.
You can give your final comments. I think we don't have any other question.
Yes. I mean, today I've been occupied with a lot. I
Yeah,
have
I can
some
see.
peer review that my supervisor wants me to finish, and then we meet. So I've been occupied, but I've been following keenly. Thank you all once again for joining our webinar. And Richmond, as always, you are doing the best, trying to explain things into details for everyone so that they can, sit on their own, and then by advice and then guidance of these videos that we are making, they'll be able to put in a very solid, essay. So good work. And then good work to Faustina as well, our very own host, has been good and kind to everyone here, and managing the space very well. And then finally, thanks to everyone who has been been with us from the very first webinar to the fourth one, and majority of you guys started from the second to like the fourth. That is also fine. Thank you all very much, and I'm wishing you all the best, that next year by this time you'll be preparing to get to the UK. I'll tell you what, last year I was able to guide a few people, about 9 people who got the Commonwealth shared scholarship, and almost every day they are just texting me about processes.
Oh,
Most of them have gotten their visas already, and they've contacted Diversity Travel, and so they have their flights. Some are taking the Emirates, some are taking Ethiopian Airlines, some are taking British Airways and Turkish Airlines and all. So it's been good. It started this way, and today, they are heading to the UK in just 2 months, or next month, because in August. So
yes.
all of these things tell you that if you do your due diligence and then you're able to put in the effort. I understand that a lot of people are busy, with work and, busy schedules, and I don't have time to sit down and put in applications and all. It is, important that you sacrifice, you make time. So there is this lady, I hope she's not here. I've been talking to her quite a lot, and she's been interested in the Commonwealth for a very long time. And she's a medical doctor here, and she's interested in public health. But then she always says that she's busy to put in an application. And I always tell her this as a joke, that if you go to Twitter, you'd find Elon Musk, the richest man alive, doing banter with people online. Okay. So I mean, he's rich. He's got a lot of money, but he's able to do banter with
Thank
people.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't think it's an issue of whether you are too busy. No one can be busier than Elon Musk. Okay, so that's just a joke. So I'm hoping that all of you would be able to make some time to put in the applications, and may the best man win. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kenton. You're supposed to give your final comment, but you decided to give both of things. No worry, that's fine. Richmond, your final comment.
What do I have to say? Not so much. I feel we have shared enough. And then you're open to sharing, you know. Just like Clinton said, it's about priority.
Yeah.
I know people who are equally busy. If it's not something you value so much, you would always find reasons to say, "Oh, I'm so busy," and I sent the document to somebody who was worrying me all this while. I was there more than 2 months. I followed up. "Oh, are you writing your essays?" And she says, "Oh, I don't understand it. Can you guide me?" I received a couple of those messages. I thought that let's organize a webinar which might benefit the people. And they never turned up. I was there when she sent me an SOP. I looked through the Commonwealth scholarship application. I didn't see any statement of purpose there. And I asked her, "Did you have time to go through the document?" She says, "Oh, when I go to work, sometimes I don't even come home, I sleep there." So, okay, that's fine. So I believe that nobody is so busy that they can't chase their dream, you know. If studying in the UK or pursuing higher education in the UK is something you've valued so much and you don't have money and you've been introduced to this, you did have time, even if you are dedicating, say, 30 minutes each day to go through whatever, put down some applications. You're spending 30 minutes each day, it means you're spending 3.5 hours each week. And that should be enough to be able to write a very compelling essay before the application opens. Yes, so I wish everyone the best of luck. If you have any questions, you can always drop us email and let's talk about them. All right.
All right. Thank you very much, Richmond. I've seen in the comment section, Adidayo says you didn't respond to his email.
Oh,
Thank you.
forgive me.
Yeah.
I would drop that document today. All right.
All right. I hope these webinars have been very insightful and informative. Jackson has already given the votes of thanks, so we wish you all the best. Hoping to see you all in the UK next year. Thank you,
Faustina,
FHA.
I think Richmond has got a question.
Richmond, again, Richmond. We are giving votes of thanks. Richmond, you're asking question.
Please, my last question, my very last question. Please, up to now, I have for some couple of days, I've been really thinking.
Hello. Hello, Richmond.
Hello, Richmond. Hello.
I don't know whether it's from my end.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I was saying that I'm currently doing my service in my department at Cape Coast Technical University, and I've been really planning since last year to apply for the scholarship, but it's like the major problem I'm facing right now is the topic I should talk about. I've spoke to my lecturers and they've given me some topics. So I wanted to ask that, let's say if you pick waste management, for instance, if you pick waste management as a topic you want to tackle, do you have to look at have to consider the entire country or maybe some portion or some areas of the country when like preparing your problem statement or something? Yes, that's my last question.
Okay, before Richmond answer this question, you could see from what he was saying that we have limits for each AC. Sometimes you need to write in not more than 500 words, no more than 100 words. So when you're going to talk about the whole country, I think sometimes it will be very bulky. So you have to be very specific. You have to be concise with your essays. You have to be specific with everything you want to do so that you can get your all the information in the specified number of words. But if you want to broaden it, you can, but you have to make sure there's a problem, there's a solution to what you are talking about when you're using the STAR approach. Because I think when you limit it to where you are, you get more insight on what you want to say. That's what I think. Clinton, you can add on Richmond.
So first of all, you mentioned that you are at Cape Coast Technical University. Is there an HND or a degree you have?
Please, it's a degree, a first degree.
He's doing a service,
Okay.
national service.
Okay. So I mean, it's a good thing. Interesting. So with USA, okay, you can obviously you can't start thinking about something way too broad. Okay, so thinking about waste management, it's a very good thing. It's very good that you are trying to be very specific with that. And moving on from there, looking at waste management at a national level compared to maybe a regional or a local level, you'd realize that looking at things from a regional perspective would, you know, would be able to give you a much more laser focused essay compared to, national, where you'd be, reaching out to almost every region, in terms of writing how to, lay out your plan when you return back to Ghana. So, so Ed, I would just say that you should try to focus on maybe a region or maybe, your township or maybe your school, whichever way will make your, say, more concise and, hopefully you'd be able to get your stories together. Because what I've found is that if you want to broaden your scope, you tend to lose focus. Okay, so it's always good to pinpoint a place and then stick with it. And Richmond, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I completely agree with two of you. You can't solve all the problems of the country. So it's always important to be more specific. Remember, as part of the essays, you need to indicate which people would benefit from what you intend to do. Couldn't say the whole of Ghana or the 250 million or 60 million population in Nigeria. So it's important always to be more specific about the population of interest. So it could be a big problem affecting very large scale people, perhaps a region or even have a country. But just focus on where the problem is most critical. So start there. Maybe after your intervention, you may want to scale it up to other areas, which is fine. But always start small and build on it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Always start small and build on it. Richmond, hope you are fine.
Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So we've come to the end of today's webinar.
There
Wishing
is
you
one
all
more
the very
question,
best.
Faustina. There
Well,
is one more
really,
question from Maxwell Jiche, I think. He's asking if as someone who is currently studying in the UK on fee paying eligible.
how long have you been in there?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you've been, the policy is that to be eligible for this scholarship, you shouldn't have studied or worked in a high income nation. So mostly European nations or Western countries, maybe Canada, Australia, the US, China. I hope China is high income nation, but yeah. If you've lived or you've studied in any of these nations for more than 1 year, it disqualifies you from being eligible for the scholarship. So I was reading in the chat that this person has been there for 2 years. So automatically it just disqualifies you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
And do you guys have anything to add?
Thank
No,
you as well. If
I
you've
don't
been
have
able to
anything.
stay outside your country in a developed country for 2 years, that means you can afford your tuition. Automatically, you are out.
Yeah.
Okay, bye everyone.
Okay. Thank you all once again, and good luck and light speed.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Then the last webinar, please, us that we're not opportune to attend, we may like to go through them. If it's
All right.
possible that I can share with us, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So with that, I have the